Hello, everyone, and welcome to my weekly Wednesday broadcast. I'm super excited to be here, and I want to say hello already to Natalie, who I can see is here, and Shalini. It's great to see you. Lynn is here. Mila is here. Maria, Rose, and Sheriel is also here, which is fabulous. And I know that there are also many of you watching from inside Anne's Art Club. And I kind of can't have both screens on at the same time to kind of see who's commenting over there versus who's commenting on my public page or over on YouTube. I just want to say how grateful I am that each and every one of you are here with me today. I'm going to send you a few little emojis, a few little heart emojis to get us kicked off today. I'm excited to be here again, and my name is Anne La Follette, and I am a creative entrepreneur, and I turned my life completely around about 6 years ago now after I lost my corporate job. And the reason I am so passionate about writing a blog every week and also coming on live to talk to you every week is because it's so important for you to also set the type of intentions that you want to achieve in your life, in your art or your creative practice, and also in your business, whether it's a creative business or some other kind of business. And I thought we would talk a little bit about intention setting today and have a little bit of a conversation around it. Laura Lee is here. Sochimo is here over from joining me from my YouTube channel. And hello, it's great to see you. We haven't seen Lorelei or Laura. Is it Lorelei? I don't think we've seen you in a while. So thank you so much for joining us. It's awesome. And we're going to talk a little bit about the blog that I wrote yesterday. And so you guys know the routine. I write a blog every Tuesday. If you're on my email list, you get it on Tuesday morning. Sometimes it might be hiding in spam. So don't forget to check your spam folder, especially if you have a Gmail address. And then here's a pro tip. If my blog is landing, or my other emails are landing in your spam folder or that promotions folder on Gmail, go in there, search for my name to see them, and then just drag them into your primary folder. And that will tell Gmail and Google that they actually are emails that you want. And then you can create yourself a little folder. You can call it Anne's Blog. And then you can also save them into the Anne's Blog folder in case you don't have time to read them right away. So that's my pro tip for the day. And I'm going to go over to my blog. Pauline's going to also put a link to it in the comments so that it's easy for you to find. But essentially, if you go to annelafolletteart.com, you're going to land on my website, which looks like this. And I'm sure many of you are very familiar with it by now. And all you need to do when you're on the front page of the blog is to click the red button, and that will take you straight into the blog. And you can see that I write a blog every single week. Last week, if you missed the blog, I talked about my fantastic branding expert who does all my branding for me, whose name is Monique Johnson. I wrote about her last week, and the whole blog post was about crafting your brand's visual story with Monique Johnson. And she has an incredible workshop available in case you want to learn more about branding, so you can click on that blog. But today we're going to talk about masterminds, but also even more targeted than that. We're going to talk about setting intentions. And masterminds are a way in which joining masterminds and running my own mastermind is a way for me to set my own intentions and for the people in my mastermind to set really solid intentions so that they make more progress in their business more quickly. And I mentioned to you a couple weeks ago that I was in Nashville, right? And then I was in Nashville. And so here's a picture of me with Amy Porterfield. And it was Amy Porterfield's mastermind called Made to Scale. and which I attended with her. It was fabulous. And there was a lot that I got out of it that I wanted to share with you in the blog around setting intentions and the different tools you can use to help you set intentions. And so that is really what I want to talk to you about today. And now you know where to find the blog, so you can go read it afterwards. But I'm going to come back on screen and we're going to talk a little bit about how to set intentions for yourself, for your business, for your life, in a way that actually is going to work for you. That's the most important thing, right? All of the things that we do in life, they have to actually work for us, and they have to work for the stage of life that we're in. They need to work for the complexity of what it is we deal with every day. And I thought that these would be helpful. So the first thing is you can achieve a lot of growth through reflection and thinking about what the things you've been most successful at, or the things that you're most proud of. And when you're in a mastermind setting, for example, but you can do this yourself also by journaling, you want to actually just take some time to kind of reflect on the challenges you've faced and how you have overcome them, the successes you've achieved and what that felt like and what led to those successes, and also things that you're learning from other people and that are really resonating with you and that you want to remember. So when you're doing this, and one of the techniques to do it that I mentioned in the blog post was to journal about it. And many of you may very well be familiar with the sort of the journaling guru of all journaling gurus, who is Julia Cameron, who wrote the book, The Artist Way. And she has a journaling technique that's called morning pages. And you probably are very familiar with her and with her book. She wrote the book over 30 years ago, but it is really an incredible book. And her journaling is just sit down every morning and just let what comes to mind drop out onto the page. And journaling can also be a more dedicated practice if, for example, you're preparing to go to a big series of meetings, or you've just come back from a big series of meetings and you want to capture your biggest takeaways and make sure that they don't just fly through your brain, that you actually have a chance to capture them and what they mean to you and what you want to use, how you're going to use them to advance your business or to advance your relationships or to advance your life in some way. And I think that reflection and journaling can be underrated. And it's actually a really, really good personal development tool. So I wanted to mention that. And I also want to make sure that when you do this, if you decide to do it, or if you're already doing it, let me know in the comments. Are you already journaling? Do you love to journal? Do you go back and look at older reflections? One of the things that I have the opportunity to do, and I encourage my masterminders to do, is they get a journal from me in their welcome packet. And I encourage them to take notes in that journal every time we meet, and then also to go back and look back at those reflections. And I've been in masterminds almost since the beginning of my reinvention journey, because there's such incredible ways for you to really accelerate your growth and learn from people who've gone before you and who are slightly more advanced than you are. And I've gone back and I've looked at lots of the notes that I've taken in those journals. And there's incredible things that I've forgotten that I learned, or that I've forgotten that I want to reinstitute into my creative practice, for example. So reviewing it and then also having some accountability around it is really important. It's easier to do that when you do it with a buddy or with a friend or with someone who's in another program with you, or my masterminders do that in kind of accountability pods. So that is kind of the first big theme around reflection and how to use reflection to help you make more progress and discover also where you can celebrate, because celebration is so key. Now, the next thing, or the next kind of idea, thought, kind of bucket that I wanted to cover is challenging your comfort zone. So if you always stay in your comfort zone, you don't make these big leaps in your creative practice or in your creative business or whatever business it is that you run. And so it's not always, getting outside of your comfort zone is not comfortable. But think of it this way. If you think about a circle and that you're inside this comfort zone circle, the thing to consider is that when you just go slightly outside your comfort zone, and all of a sudden your comfort zone actually becomes bigger and your capabilities become bigger, because what was once outside of the circle is now inside the circle. And that way, whether it's getting comfortable speaking or becoming more decisive or taking more action or trying to get out of your head and worrying about things that you don't even know you should be worrying about, is a really, really great way for you to continue to expand your capabilities and stretch yourself. And Natalie, I know you're here, and I know that you and I had a discussion earlier today about your fantastic course, which is called Take Your Best Shot. And for those of you who are relatively new here, I wrote about Natalie, and Natalie also came on live with me several weeks ago. And so if you go back to the blog, you can find the blog post about her course called Take Your Best Shot. So I'm going to go back to sharing my screen. We're going to actually go back to I'm going to go back to the blog, and we're going to scroll down so that you can see where Natalie is. And Natalie was, I guess, last month now. Gosh, it didn't feel like it was that long ago, but I guess it was that long ago. Here you are. Take Your Best Shot with Natalie Rotman Cody. And we were talking today. Here she is inside this, great photo, fantastic professional photo of her behind the camera. Love it. And the reason I wanted to bring her up as an example is because she has this fantastic course, and she's a little bit worried about how to launch it and the different mechanisms you could use to launch it. And so the conversation she and I were having was about the fact that don't make assumptions if you don't have any data to support them. And right? Don't make assumptions if you don't have any data to support them. So if you think something's not going to work, do you have data that supports you because you tried it and it didn't? Or are you just assuming it's not going to work? And because if you haven't tried it and you haven't found out that it didn't work, it might work, right? And even if it doesn't work exactly the way you thought it was going to work, you learn so much by taking that action. So anyway, it was wonderful to have this conversation, because these are the types of conversations we need to be able to have with other people who kind of get what it is that we're experiencing, so that we can continue to move forward. So challenging your comfort zone is a really, really another very important bucket. And it's important to be in an environment where it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to ask these questions that you might be a little embarrassed to ask, but you're in a community that supports you and wants you to succeed and is going to help you take those next steps. So that's super important. The other thing is really this theme around, but let me stop there, because I know I have a tendency to talk really fast when I kind of want to cover a lot of material. And this was a pretty hefty blog post. So tell me in the comments if there's something that you're struggling with right now that's like outside of your comfort zone, so that maybe I can help you take that leap or take that next step. And I would love to know. So hold on, I'm going to just pause for a second, come back to the comments and see if anybody's added in there. You are there. Yes, I see you, my sweet friend, Natalie. Natalie, you are here, and you're just doing amazing. You're just doing absolutely amazing. So this is great. I love your comment. Love journaling, putting my ideas and thoughts, or just scribbling. And I agree, going back and reading your old notes is amazing. It is really amazing. You just don't even realize how far you've come unless you actually go back. And this applies also with your art. If you put your art into notebooks, right? Or if you put your art into a container, any type of a creative book or a creative journal, but it's got your doodles in it. And then you look back at last year's doodles, or you look back at the art you were creating 3 years ago. It's incredible how much progress you can make, or you have made. You'll see it on the page. It'll be really, really obvious when you go back and look at it, right? And so this is great, Shalini. Yeah, so many people in the online space use this term around imperfect action, right? Nothing is perfect in this world. So let me bring up Jeff Walker uses this term, imperfect action. I have used the term imperfect action before. And depending on when you hear it, it will resonate for you, right? And so it's great, Shalini. You said, I've recently learned the term imperfect action, meaning just do the thing you're doing. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you've done something about it, and it's no procrastination. Yeah, that is awesome. That's totally awesome. And so any type of action, including imperfect action, since there's nothing is perfect, you learn so much more from, and you're making a progression. You're moving forward, right? You're moving forward, which is awesome. And so Pauline also said that she loves picking up a notebook that's full of her art and going back and looking at what you created in the past. The other great thing about it is you forget some of the things that are in there that you may never have actually applied in my world, which is sort of the surface design world. You might go back and find a set of motifs you never put into a repeating pattern, and it's like, oh my gosh, I totally have an idea now for how I want to use that. Right? So fantastic. So then let's go back now to just talk a little bit more about the other topics I covered in the blog. But if you have anything you're struggling with right now, a project, an idea, like a little concept that you have, put it in the chat so we can talk about it, because I love like real life examples. It's also really important to seek diverse and different opinions. And so when you're in a mastermind environment, the people who are in that mastermind, first of all, when you join a mastermind, you have no idea who's going to be there. So I want to say that again, because I know if any of you are considering joining my mastermind for 2025, I want you to know that you'll actually have a sense of who's in there because it's on the enrollment page, because it's an ongoing mastermind. So you'll know who's in there. But when I joined Amy Porterfield's mastermind and I went to my first meeting, she's never had a mastermind before. So when you get selected to be a part of it, you don't know who else is going to be in it. It's not like, well, I'll join if you tell me who's in it, because she won't tell you. Right? She's hand selecting each person who's going to be in it, just like I hand select anybody who gets added for 2025, but you don't know who's in the group. So you are taking a leap of faith that you're going to be in an environment that's been curated and where the people in the group are going to have diverse experiences. They're going to be doing something different with either their art or their photography or their graphic design or their branding or their coaching programs. And that is what makes it interesting. But you also need to be open, and you have to have this ability to seek out different perspectives, be interested in different perspectives, and also make sure that you are being incredibly empathetic to everyone else who's in the group who may be feeling just as nervous as you when you're in your first couple of sessions, because you're doing what I like to call storming and norming, right? You're getting to know each other, and you're getting to know who else is actually in this environment. And it could be in a coaching program you're already in, or it could apply to a mastermind that you're thinking of applying to. It's super important to embrace both a deep understanding and getting to know everyone else in the group, and also embracing the type of feedback that you're going to get, because you're in a safe environment. And so you're going to be seeking feedback, and then you have to be open to that feedback. There's this great expression when you're sharing a specific activity that you're working on in what's called a hot seat. All that means is that you're in front of the group in either in a virtual environment or in an in-person environment, and you have a burning question that you want to ask the group for input around. And I'll talk more about hot seats in another blog post. But briefly, the reason I'm bringing it up is because you want to be the person who explains your question, gives enough information about your business so the people in the room can give you really targeted feedback. And then you need to be quiet and listen, and not say, yeah, but, or not say, I tried that and it didn't work, because you can try it again and you might have a different result. Anyway, that's a little bit of a tangent, but thought that would be valuable for you guys to have a little insight into. And so you do need to make sure that you know, a lot of growth happens when we are vulnerable, right? So these are kind of my final tips around this topic. And then please pop any questions you have into the comments. There's a certain amount of vulnerability, right? So growth happens when we're vulnerable, when we're willing to share something we're struggling with in order to get some input and some advice so that we can move forward. Super important to be an active listener and to ask clarifying questions. And then it's so important to commit to action, any action, just like Shalini said, imperfect action. And then, of course, when you're in a community, any type of community, whether it's a Facebook group or whether it's a coaching program or it's a mastermind, you want to be contributing, right? You want to make sure that you are also sharing what you've learned so that other people have the benefit of what it is that you've been learning along your journey. So let me come back to you guys and see if you've got any other questions for me, or I will let you go. You can go, of course, to annelafolletteart.com/blog, which will take you immediately to sort of the splash page where you can just scroll down and read past blog posts if you've missed any of them, or if you're relatively new here. And then, of course, if you want to dive deeper into this whole setting intentions and how to get the most out of group environments, including masterminds, then read this week's blog post, right, about how to achieve breakthroughs and what are some of the techniques that I recommend you try to achieve the type of breakthroughs that you want. Thank you, Pauline, for putting in annelafolletteart.com/blog into the comments. I really appreciate it. And Maria's here. Hello, Maria. It's great to see you. It's kind of late in the UK and in Sweden because I think you guys changed your clocks with daylight savings time, and we haven't done that yet. And so it's nice to see you. And I don't see any questions, so I'm going to let you go. I'll wait just another minute because there's always a little bit of a delay. But do you have one takeaway from today? That's a good question, right? Do you have one takeaway from today? Is there something that sparked curiosity from what we talked about? Is there something that you realized, gee, I used to journal, but I don't journal anymore, so I think I'm going to start again? Or did you feel encouraged because you are journaling and you realize that's super valuable, so keep doing it? Let me know. Thank you. So Mila, you're going to have to let me know. You're going to have to send me a DM with the pronunciation of your name. Because I might not be pronouncing it wrong. And I want to know if you're like a Seddon Brown. Are you like a Seddon Brown or Michaela? And I can't remember how to pronounce your last name, but I think your mom was Vicky. Wasn't your mom Vicky? It's just lovely to see you here. Okay, so I am going to let you go and just take action. Right? Just take action, imperfect as it may be, right? And fantastic. So thank you. And I appreciate the fact that you loved the blog post. So thank you so much. And you guys know I'll be back again next week. So I don't know if my sweet friend Janet is here, but I wanted to go to, I'm going to share my screen for 1 second and we're going to go to my Facebook page because I wanted to make sure that you guys know that that Janet Hild has joined my team as my new content creator. Here she is right here. And can you see this image right here? So I'm super, super excited. She's already working on a project for me. I'm incredibly excited. And Janet, if you're here, and of course, I know you and I are emailing each other pretty much every day, but I want to spotlight you, right? So we need to have you come on and talk about what you do in your creative life, because I haven't spotlighted you yet, and I would love to do so. And what a great opportunity since you've also just joined my team as the content creator. So lots of very exciting things to talk about. And I am going to do my cute little emojis before I do what I always do as I'm ready to sign off. And that is, I always like to say in closing that I am Anne La Follette, and it's never too late to create. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you again next week. Bye for now.